Another day, another chance, another way, another dance. Today, I'll be discussing to you all about a very, you know, much needed topic to be discussed. So it's pretty much like courses and etc. So it's actually like a web application, that I'm going to be working on. So it's a web application. I'm going to be doing like web development and etc. So on and so forth. So it's pretty much something called Confetti Cuisine. Yeah, and my navigator will be someone named Letabo. Yeah, he's gonna be navigating for me. So yeah, Masoa Opa. So yeah, he's gonna be navigating. So thank you, navigator. Let's get it and let's go. Yeah. Okay. So for my main, I pretty much have something called use strict. So use strict. What use strict does is it pretty much sets the whole application to strict mode, including when you're running it on your terminal, so that once your your computer reads all of your code and reads everything that you've pretty much set for it in your main EJ, EJS files and etc. It pretty much makes sure if there's any incorrect or inoperable syntax that needs to be removed or placed aside, same way that farm workers would sift out bad crops away from the rest of the conveyor belt. So that's what use strict does. And then you got our express app configuration. So you got const express equals require express, const app equals express. So what const express does is it exports the express modules from our node library. So as we all know, the node library or node package module is the biggest node library in the world. It pretty much has everything from HTTPS status codes, express modules, so on and so forth. So that's what it has. So const uh, our const variable. What that does is once we assign a value to our variable, you can't change that value, right? You can't change it. It's unchangeable. So if when you try and change it, your computer is just gonna it's pretty much gonna turn into an error. So once it's set stone. So you're just gonna require a variable called express, right? Const variable called express, and then that's gonna equal to require. So require, that's gonna equal to the method require express. So we're getting our express module from our npm library, then const app equals express. So what's gonna happen is our const app variable, which we'll see later on, is gonna be assigned an alias, right? Or it's pretty much gonna be assigned the imports express. So this pretty much creates an express application. The express function is a top level function exported by the express module. So that's what happens. So here we are, we got our f function, right? Create application, a variable app, we got our application arguments, caller, JSON, a raw request, a response, route, router, static, text, and so on and so forth. So we got const app express, right? And then we got our express. So that's pretty much what we have. So f function, application, caller, JSON, raw, request, so on and so forth. That's what we have. And then we got a so these are pretty much explain. These pretty much explain our parameters, our functions, and so on and so forth. So slanted end, what that does is it takes our strings, anything that we have, and takes it into the next line. Our R, I need to search that up. Yeah, no, Lital was probably thinking to himself, but why do you have to search that up, man? That part I don't know what that is, bro. That's how I'm gonna search that up, bro. Yeah, typical 19-year-old, bro. So what that does can it refers to row string prefix r before string literal. When you prefix a string literal with r, no, that's not what it's for. With an r, you create a row string, and a row string backlashes are treated as literal characters and not as escape characters. This is particularly useful when dealing with Windows file paths, where backslashes are common separators. And with otherwise need to be escaped regular expressions, where backlashes are frequently used for special sequences and conflict with Python's default escape character. So that's what it is actually. Yep. And then yeah, so that's what it is. We've got constant layouts. So we've got an alias, right? Constant layouts. Express a request handler is less than parameters dictionary, s- so on and so forth. So you got a variable called require, right? That's what we have our variable called require, and that's used to import modules. So that's pretty much a Node.js require that require. So that's importing modules. So constant layouts. So that's our set stone variable. So import layouts. So that's express that request handler, so on and so forth. So here it pretty much describes everything that we have there. And then it takes our express EJS layouts module and imports it. So that's what it does. Cons home controller. What that does is it takes home our file home controller and inside the variable. So it just imports home controller, then require, and then it requires it, right? That's what it does. It just requires it using our path that we've got in our application. So as you can see, you've got controllers, and then you've got home controller. So that's what we have. Then constant subscribe controller equals require. So same thing here. You got subscribers in subscribe controller. It does the same thing. So it's pretty much taking the controllers folder and it's going through all the files in it. You got so for our subscribers controller, right? We got exports, get all subscribers, and then you got a parameters. Yeah. Subscribers equal to or greater than subscriber find, you know, and then dot exec, then dot then, dot catch, then dot then. Source that gets subscription, so on and so forth. And then that's what you have. So it's pretty much going over that. Mongoose and modules. Cons variable mongoose equals require and mongoose. Then cons subscriber equals require module subscriber. So that's what it does, right? So it pretty much takes our modules, right? It requires mongoose. So Mongoose is an application that we're going to use for our database. So that's what gets required or imported. So import Mongoose using our const variable or our permanent variable const. And then const subscriber, import subscriber, then require so on and so forth. So that's what you have. That's fine. And then yeah, that's what you pretty much have. And then yeah, and then let me go on to my main page. Then you got mongoose.connect. So what this does is it assigns a server. This serve a Mongo database. That's what it does. Serve for Mongo database. So that's what it assigns it. And then you got our booleans, right? So our booleans is use new URL parser colon true, and then unified topology true. So this pretty much improves connection stability. Then that catch error equal to or greater than constant error, MongoDB connection error, and then comma error. So yeah, that's what happens here. I mean, so this parameter, so on and so forth, then dot catch error equal to or greater than constant error. Then yeah, I mean that's pretty much what we have. So const db equal to or mongoose dot connection. So that's what it is, you know. And then const db, right? Then const db, so what happens is you're importing our database. So as you can see here, you're importing our database, then equals a mongoose dot connection. So that's pretty much what we have, right? So that's what you're doing here, and then here's our functions and so on and so forth. And then same thing here, database, then once open, then log connection successes. So uh, this pretty much gives the string when your login has been successful. And then this dynamic port, this what it does is it is a dynamic port for deployment, right? So this pretty much gives an option of whether you got an environment port or our local host 2000. So it gives you an option to use our server or use our port. And then this sets the EJS as a templating engine. So all the EJS templates that we have for, you know what I mean, for our aesthetics and etc. so on and so forth. This sets the EJS as a templating engine for all of those. So this serves static files, CSS images, and JS by using our method app.use, express.static, and then public, right? And then app.use layouts, enable EJS layouts, and then app.use, express URL encoded, extended false use class query string library, and then app.use, right? That it does parses JSON payloads, and then what that does is it takes our home page and then it renders it. index that EJS, then renders it, then gets home controller that index, and that's what it gets. So we can now get posts, gets posts, and then so on and so forth. And then it renders our courses.ejs, then content form submission. So that what that does, it just posts our form. App.post contact home controller post sign up form. Then app.get, subscribers, subscriber control, get all subscribers, and then request comma res.render subscribers, then just renders on subscribers.js egs. Then subscription form page, that's what happens. So controller that gets subscription page. Then save a new subscriber form submission. Then app.post, so that saves a new subscriber. Then for handler, 500 handler. And then app.listen, app.get port, log server running at HTTP localhost, app.get port, so on and so forth. So that's what happens. So yeah, I mean, that's what it does. Then controllers, error control.js, home control.js. So these are pretty much the controllers. So these are pretty much for like our index page, the one that you see on the front end, as we'll get to now. .js. So that's what this does is it sets up our creations and so on and so forth. It pretty much for our subscribers. It pretty much sets up functionality, or it sets up the framework. Actually, it sets up the framework for what you can see on the front end for our subscriber section. CSS for the aesthetic, for the way that our thing is going to look like, our project's going to look like, bootstrap.css as well, the way it's going to look like. Then JS, so these are the error pages, just in case we don't get what we want. And then these are our views. So these are the EJS. So this is pretty much our views. If our front page, they actually require functionality for our EJS layouts library online, and then it pretty much sets everything up. They're pretty much EJS sets up a functionality and a part of our tables, functions, and everything that we're going to be using. So that's what it does. And then yeah, I mean that's what it pretty much does. Navigate to anything on your side that you want to discuss. Like, I'm just gonna summarize. Wait, sorry, before you summarize, I'm very sorry for being rude. Forgive me. I don't describe what EJS is. So EJS is an embedded JavaScript, which is a popular templating engine for Node.js, enabling the creation of dynamic HTML counts by enabling JavaScript code directly with HTML files. So that's what it pretty much does. Okay, you can describe it.
Okay, so to summarize this uh, project, right? Like especially since it's lesson 16. So the main goals are what I had to do is that I had to connect to MongoDB database. Uh, it configs the Express app with EJS templates and layouts. It serves static files and handle form data. It defines routes for homepage and courses.
Yeah,
Subscriber management. It will handle the user subscriptions and displays the subscribers.
yeah,
It will implement banner handling,
yeah,
and it will start the server from local host 3000
yeah.
Sheffield port.
Thank you, Navigator. I really appreciate that. So as you can see here, you got Node, drive version, so on and so forth. So as you can see, all the strings that we assigned in main.js, right? All the strings that we assigned in main.js, is visible here. And as soon as once you run everything, what we have left is our app. So welcome to Confetti Cuisine. Discover a world of vibrant recipes, cooking tips, and delicious inspiration. Want to level up your skills, explore our cooking courses, and start your journey today. And also subscribe here to stay updated with the latest recipes and kitchen secrets. So as you can see here, that's what we have. And then, all our uh, all Express JavaScript templates are pretty much being exemplified here. So that's what you're seeing. Then you got to learn to cook cutting edge food. Our course is event driven cakes, synchronous artichoke, and object oriented orange juice. So that's what you pretty much have. And then you try and submit that. So yeah, that's what we have. Yeah, and that's our confetti cuisine. Yeah, that's our confetti cuisines. And just gave me the pretty print. And then let me debug my front end, going over the network. So you got your elements, console, sources, and then network. So that's pretty much what we have. What we have, right? So as you can see here, all the stuff that you see here is pretty much it's checked. It's pretty much regulated and debugged in our in the network part of our console. So that's debugged, and then that's debugged as well. So all of those are debugged. So yeah, and there's no throttling. That means the network, because it's unlimited. That means there's no throttling. So that means it's not being controlled. It's not being monitored. So that means the connection or the amount of data or amount of info that's amount of data that's transformed into information, the speed in which all that data is turned into information isn't being measured, slowed down, or throttled. It's not. It's just free reign in a layman's way to put it. So that's pretty much it. That's my cuisine. Take care and navigate thinking. Lord bless and thanks.